Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on. To at least 3. Can we put up the graphic of this? Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas. Lawyers and medical providers. Just, I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.
I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the #1 issue. Yes. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very, very contested area.
Build the wall. Like, what?
I was just reading something about CNN's ratings and MSNBC's ratings post-election. They've crashed. All these left-wing kooks on YouTube are hemorrhaging subscribers, where people go, you guys are out of touch. You're not accurate, you're delusional, and people are speaking with their subscriptions, and they're speaking with their purchasing of the Washington Post, and they're purchasing the New York Times. The New York Times just debunked, in the most insane way, debunked RFK Jr.'s assertion that the ingredients in Fruit Loops are different in Canada than they are in the United States. They fact-checked it while saying he was accurate. So their fact check, it's so dumb when you see the I tweeted it. I know. The fact check is so dumb because the fact check says it's not correct. They have the same ingredients except for these harmful chemicals.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about my favorite topic, the collapse of MSDNC. Okay. Actually, I can't decide between talking about Brandon Johnson and Chicago and him basically losing control of his own city. I can't decide whether or not that or the collapse of MSNBC is my favorite topic right now, but MSNBC collapsing is probably up there, right? It's definitely in the top 3 for sure, okay? And we have more news surrounding the collapse of MSNBC because they're in full-blown cope mode about how they have no relevance whatsoever, okay? They're at the point now where they're essentially acknowledging that we have less influence than people like Elon Musk, for example, because of the fact that he owns X, and also the social media influencers on X, like, for example, Cat Turd. They openly hated on Cat Turd on the network, right? A news channel was openly hating on Cat Turd on air. That's how much they're coping about the fact that their ratings are collapsing into the dirt. Take a look.
Elon Musk bought X and turned it into the social media arm of the MAGA movement. And we all sat there right in the middle of it during the campaign, possibly not realizing that we're sitting there like fat chickens, just getting attacked all day and just being part of this MAGA messaging. However, the election's over. Everybody's getting smarter and better. I'm not sure that the right idea is to leave Twitter and just go to Blue Sky, a friendlier place, because then we remain in our echo chambers. I don't think that you should necessarily stay in Twitter every day and battle it out and let yourself doom scroll of all the hate coming at you. But I want to see it. I want to read what's happening there, right? And so I think at least staying in those spaces is important because I want to hear the other things.
Eddie, you know, John Heilman, it is interesting following up on this Elon Musk point, as far as don't make yourself too big, right? Right? If you want to stick around, it's very interesting that Elon Musk publicly on X, I think it was yesterday, publicly was pressuring Donald Trump to pick Lutnick as Treasury Secretary, along with the esteemed Cat Turd. And as goes Cat Turd on X, so goes Middle America. But the pressuring, for those of you who don't know, that's an account. I think that's an account on X, right? And this account, Cat Turd, was actually weighing
I'm a little concerned that you know that, but okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so the cope is real. The cope is very, very, very real because the writing is on the wall since Comcast, which owns the parent company of MSNBC, NBC Universal, they came out and said, yeah, we're spinning off all of these cable channels that are essentially failing, right? We're spinning them off into a separate entity, and we're going to let them sink or swim on their own, okay? And folks like Bill O'Reilly, who I would think is somebody that really kind of knows the media landscape. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. He came out and gave a doomsday warning to MSNBC.
Both of you guys picked up on the MSNBC morning power couple going down to kiss the ring with Trump. They say, we had to meet with him. I don't have any problem with people meeting with the president-elect. I mean, That's an opportunity any journalist would take. What is your take on it, Stephen A. Smith, for people who haven't seen the show?
Well, Bill, on the Stephen A. Smith show this evening, I basically called it out, and I said, wait a minute, you associated him with Nazis. You called him a racist. Did you tell him that to his face when you went to Mar-a-Lago? Did you confirm that you still feel that way? Or did you turn around and retract that statement? And did you turn around and retract that statement to his face and say, hey, that you were wrong?
I don't even think you requested an apology.
Well, again, it doesn't
Trump
have
just
to.
wants to do business.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, being an adult, if that's what you did, first of all, it shouldn't have been done in the first place, particularly by folks in that position. And secondly, if you did it, but then you asked to meet with him, it wasn't the other way around, and then you met with him. Did you acknowledge that you said those things, apologize for it, or stand in front of his face and tell him how you felt? Because I think that goes a long way towards really redirecting, to use their word, in terms of the direction that they were going in and how they needed to redirect and, look things over.
Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences, and you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is Vapor. That is a huge media story.
Why is it
Enormous.
Vapor? Just because they're spinning it off and putting them in they're spinning off a bunch of brands.
There's no spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here
Yes,
it comes.
please.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe, because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC, and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sonny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment. The lawyers get Whoopi Goldberg's ear, and it said, we're bringing a statement in on a teleprompter. She reads it. So it is over for these far left networks. Done, never coming back. Dracula's stake in the heart. Who benefits? News Nation may, but CNN, which is on the ropes too, will probably get some MSNBC viewers.
Wow.
There you go.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm certainly not going to accuse him of not making sense.
Yeah, so with that being said, Bill O'Reilly may be onto something, because after he came out and said that, yeah, MSNBC doesn't have any resources, right? They're not going to have any resources, essentially. They were being subsidized by NBC, okay? They're going to have to start cutting some salaries, right? Including Rachel Maddow. They can't afford Rachel Maddow's monstrous salary, okay? We're going to talk about how much she was making because they have now issued a pay cut to Rachel Maddow. They are now starting to cut salaries. So this seems to be the first sign, right, that, hey, there are major cuts, changes, firings coming to MSNBC, and they're starting at the top, right? Their top star, Rachel Maddow, that's saying, hey, look, you're going to have to make less money, right? You already don't really work, okay? But we're going to have to cut your salary. So that's actually what's happening here. So let's read about this. Weary MSNBC stars Joe and Miko return to their penthouse amid fears of major cuts as Rachel Maddow's jaw-dropping new salary is revealed. The salaries for key talent appear set for cutbacks, mirroring rival CNN, with Maddow signing a new deal that will slash her pay from $30 million annually to $25 million. An anonymous executive called Maddow, quote, ratings Viagra, regularly drawing significantly more viewers than the rest of the network's primetime lineup. Okay, so Rachel Maddow here is taking a pay cut of $5 million. Now, this is a big deal because although I still think she is drastically overpaid with a $25 million salary, typically when you are negotiating a new deal with a network, right, when you're in media and stuff like that, if the company feels good about the future, right, they feel good about the future of your show, you're going to get paid more, right? You're going to be demanding more money. In the case of Rachel Maddow, it seems like that's not the case, right? And me personally, I understand that some people claim that Rachel Maddow is the left's version of Tucker. I just don't see it, right? I've never understood the appeal of Rachel Maddow. I mean, she just seems like the stereotypical, overly emotional, woke, left-wing talking head, right? I've never listened to Rachel Maddow's commentary and came away thinking, wow, right? That was very thought-provoking, okay? Or that she's changed my mind on anything at all, right? She just sounds like the standard leftist. So I don't really get the appeal of Rachel Maddow, but apparently she's a big thing on the left, okay? So big that they allow her to work 1 day a week and she's making a ton of money, right? So, I don't think she's worth the $25 million. I don't even think she's worth $5 million, to be honest with you, okay? $1 million might be a stretch as well, too. I'm just saying, I don't think these people have the talent that would justify their pay. And the reason why I say that is because a vast majority of these individuals, if they actually went independent, okay, let's just say they actually did get fired from MSNBC, how many viewers would Rachel Maddow bring in on her own, right? Without the millions and billions of dollars in resources that are backing her right now. How many of these individuals have a real audience? I don't think they would. I mean, look at what happened to Don Lemon. When he left CNN, he became more irrelevant than ever, right? He's struggling on YouTube. He left X. He's doing struggle sessions on TikTok now. Look at Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace just got cut from CNN, right? He just got fired. Now he's going to go into podcasting. I guarantee you, not going to be successful. The other race lady on MSNBC that got fired, Tiffany Cross, a.k.a. Joy Reid Light, okay? Look at how she's doing right now. She's super irrelevant, right? She has some podcast with Angela Rye and Andrew Gillum, and nobody gives a damn about the podcast, right? Nobody cares at all, right? So again, a lot of these people, when they leave television, they basically fall into obscurity because they weren't that talented in the first place. And a lot of their audience was a result of them being on cable, not because they're actually good, right? Not because anybody actually gives a damn about what they have to say, right? And I think the same is true for Rachel Maddow. If Rachel Maddow went independent, I don't think she would have an audience. I don't think that she could generate the same type of audience or appeal like a Tucker or like a Megyn Kelly. I just don't see it. None of these leftists have been successful at doing that. They haven't been successful for a reason. Amid the embarrassment, DailyMail.com spotted 57-year-old Brzezinski looking downcast as the couple entered their New York City building Wednesday. She glared at a photographer as she hopped out of a limo and carried her bags inside, wearing an eye-catching ensemble of knee-high boots, a plaid cape, and lilac sweater. Scarborough, 61, looked dapper in a blue suit as he kept his head down. Yeah, this is how you carry yourself when you know your career is over, right? When your career is close to the end and you have no relevance whatsoever, this is how you carry yourself. But again, these people are being chauffeured around in limousines, okay? They don't drive. They don't really do things that normal people do, right? They don't live a normal life. And this is why they are disconnected, right? They're disconnected. They've never lived in middle America. They've never had to really go through the same issues that the average American goes through. And then they wonder why they're so out of touch and why they can't reach people. It's because you can't relate to people. You can't relate to people living a lifestyle like this, right? When you're being chauffeured around in limousines and stuff like that to and from work, okay? You can't understand the average American when you live like that. And this is why their commentary is so off-putting. This is why people are so turned off. These people, they're out of touch with reality, okay? And they're losing viewers because of it. It was revealed Thursday that ratings for Morning Joe have dropped 15% overall and a whopping 41% in the 25 to 54-year-old demographics cable news crave since the meeting with Trump was revealed. The show went from 770,000 viewers on Monday to 680,000 Tuesday to 647,000 on Wednesday per Variety. Yeah, so their viewers are just continuing to drop, right? Continuing to drop. The question is, how far? If they drop below 500,000, oh man, they're going to be in full-blown panic, right? These people, they're going to be losing their minds on air, right? If they drop below 500,000 viewers, you might see some firings, right? You might actually see some immediate firings. I'm so serious. And when you look at their ratings since the election, they've lost over half of their audience. They're down 54%. 54%. Over half of the people said, nah, we don't watch MSNBC anymore, right? After the election, ratings are down 40% from last year. Again, this is terrible. This is terrible. And I'm going to tell you, Rachel Maddow, again, you know, she's getting cut $5 million, but that pay cut for her and the fact that she's not getting a pay increase not only tells you that the future prospects of the company are not good, but that also is a serious warning sign for those lower level journalists and hosts, right? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Joy Reid gets fired this year, right? I just wouldn't be surprised if you have a lot of these hosts, these anchors, okay, that can't bring in the type of viewership that Maddow brings in. They're just going to part ways with those people, right? Because ultimately, they can probably bring in other talent for cheaper and essentially have the same, if not maybe a better result, right? I don't know. I'm just saying that this pay cut for Rachel Maddow really spells disaster for those who are below her, right? That's really the people who should be concerned right now, right? The Joy Reids of the world. I think she's about to hit the unemployment line. I'm just saying, I just wouldn't be surprised. I don't see how you continue to hold on to somebody as unhinged as Joy Reid. I just don't get it. A source told the anchor that the Morning Joe rebrand of making peace with Trump is a part of the network having a come to Jesus moment, going too far to the left during the election. Quote, we were so Harris propaganda that when she lost, viewers were shocked. It turned into one giant circle jerk and echo chamber. If MSNBC wants to be of service to its viewers, they can't keep them in a fantasy land. Well, here's the problem with that. Here's the problem. First and foremost, is it ironic how Stephanie Rule on MSNBC essentially accused X of being like a MAGA echo chamber, right? When that is what MSNBC is to the left. Okay, these people love projecting. X is not a MAGA echo chamber. In fact, there's a lot of balance on X in regards to political ideologies. Okay, it's just that the left feels when they don't have an overwhelming advantage, when things aren't skewed in their favor, it's unfair, right? The left sees being fair and balanced as being discriminatory towards them, right? That is the way they see it, right? They say it's unfair to be fair and balanced, right? What's fair to them is when things are rigged in their favor, okay? But when it comes to MSNBC and trying to keep their viewers, the problem is that the left, they're not tolerant. They're not tolerant of other opinions. So they can try to do this shift right, to become more centrist. However, it's not going to work because their core audience, they've been brainwashed over the last 8 years that they should be tolerant of any opinions that aren't overly far left or overly Trump deranged, right? So because their audience doesn't have a tolerance for what they're trying to do or what they should do, again, the network may just have to do a full-blown rebrand, right? They may just have to fire everybody and to start from scratch because of the current stain that the network has, right? No conservatives will watch the network because, again, the network has shown that they hate conservatives and Trump supporters. Now the liberals are leaving because they can't stand anybody who actually covered Trump fairly. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the only real solution, in my opinion, is to tear down the network from top to bottom, fire everybody, and rebuild it. Rebuild it. That, or they're going to have to just double and triple down on the Trump derangement and hope that it will work when he gets back in office, right? That's the other angle to this that is possible, right? In which they could say, you know what? Let's just double and triple down on the Trump derangement because he's in office, and let's see if that works, right? I mean, I don't think it will this time around, but who knows? They're most certainly flirting with it because they're still Trump deranged 24/7 when it comes to his cabinet picks and what's going on right now. However, keeping the liberal star Maddow for even one night a week on the air was non-negotiable. Quote, no one else can do what she does. You can't build a brand like it overnight. Yeah, I disagree with that, bro. I don't think that Rachel Maddow is all that. I really don't. I really don't. Comcast's move to spin off its NBC Universal networks would have been a staggering move years ago with its fleet of channels previously among the company's most profitable assets. Yeah, but that's not the case anymore, right? Because Trump derangement apparently is not a viable business model anymore, right? So, yeah, at this point, we will see what will happen to MSNBC. But the ratings for Morning Joe continue to fall, right? They continue to fall every single day. Rachel Maddow is taking pay cuts, and that's not a good sign, right? It's not a good sign, along with the fact that the company has been spun off into a separate entity for them to sink or swim on their own. So we'll see what happens, but they're not good signs right now for MSNBC and their hosts. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.